Okay, welcome back to inventRight TV. All right, you got a great idea, but maybe you just don't have the experience, and maybe you just don't have the money. How do you launch it? Please watch this video and find out how. Okay, everybody, Stephen Key from inventRight TV. Welcome back. I've got a very special guest, and we're going to talk about how to launch. Guess what? We're going to talk about how to launch an idea, how to launch a product. So, Leena, thank you very much for coming on inventRight TV. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Stephen. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm especially doing great because you have a product that I think I need. Um, I think everybody needs that product if they have a dog because I love my dog and I want to make sure I take care of my dog, especially if I'm camping or traveling. I've got to make sure I've got all the right things. So tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about your product.
Sure. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and this is Timber Dog is my eighth business, and the one that I'm the most excited and passionate about because I feel like the other businesses that came before it sort of merged into this one and built this one. And so, yeah, I got my dog Kashi from a rescue very late in life. I was 38 when I had my first dog. I've been waiting my whole life to have a dog. And she came into my life during a time of great difficulty. I had um, illnesses and I was broke and just heartbroken. I was between living situations. I wasn't doing well in any sense of the word.
Okay.
And my parents were like, "Why don't you get a dog?" And I said, "I've wanted one my whole life, but this is the most inopportune time to get one. This is not an appropriate time to get one." And they just insisted on it. And I found her on Pet Finder.
Okay.
And, you know, it's funny because she was my last choice. I looked for like, fat, squishy puppies that, everyone dreams of, like the golden retriever types. And every time I clicked on them, they'd be taken instantly.
Oh,
And so she was on there for weeks as this like scrawny, she looked like my dad said she looks like a rat. um but I'm like, you know what? This is a puppy. I'm just gonna pull the trigger.
okay.
So yeah, I found her and then I went to an adoption event in San Francisco where her foster mother brought her from Pescadero. And I got into the crate with her to, you know, familiarize myself. And she had like a lot of fear aggression. And so there was great hesitation for me to like adopt her because for my first pet, I didn't know how I was going to deal with that. That was a mess. But I felt very pressured to adopt her
Okay.
because her foster mother came from so far. So I adopted her, and it ended up being the best mistake I've ever made, ever.
So
Because,
what?
yeah, she's the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life, easily.
So, so how did you come up with your product? Name of your company. Name of your company is
Timber Dog.
Timber Dog.
Yeah.
Okay, and your product is for dogs. Um, Talk a little bit about it. How you created it.
Sure. So, when I brought her home, I realized that her behavior was due to trauma. And I could not leave her home alone because she would howl and howl until she would throw up. I mean, I would
Oh,
hear reports from the neighbors like, something's happening to your dog. And so I realized, I brought 3 camera system and I would leave the house and monitor her. And she would be very distressed as soon as I left the house. She
oh,
would pace and then start crying.
okay,
So, um, I couldn't leave the house for a long time. It had to happen in small increments where I was gone for 10
sure.
minutes, then a half an hour. I'm new to this. I'm a first-time dog owner. I'm reading the reading the books and the blog posts. So I'm like, you know what? She needs to come with me everywhere for the first few weeks, until I can start leaving her for longer periods. And I just hated carrying her big bulky bed and all her things piecemeal. And I'm like, there's like 100 million dogs in the US. There has to be a better thing than this setup.
Okay,
Where I was like shoving all her stuff into a backpack and then inverting the backpack and dumping everything out because I didn't want to rifle through the dark recesses of a bag.
all right.
So I went on Amazon, I went on Google, I looked for, all in one dog bed or dog bag, and I couldn't find a facsimile for what I had in my head.
Okay.
So one night I went to bed and I couldn't sleep. And, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up, I padded out to the kitchen table. And then on the back of like my loan paperwork from grad school, which was showing a huge debt, I designed the prototype for Rough Rest.
Okay.
And so this $1 million idea was born in the back of debt paper,
Got it.
So 5 years later, after hundreds of iterations, it's here, and I'm just I'm thrilled. It's on shelves. It's commercially available. It
Yeah.
does everything.
Let's talk about the prototype stage for just a minute, because we're going to show the product, of course, and people can see all the different things it does. It's very clever.
Thank you.
The way you've designed all the features, I thought was brilliant, because it does a lot. And you're right. All those things that you were taking with you, you've kind of found a place to build it all into this nice bed, that even has a blanket, and the strap um, changes into a leash, which I thought, I mean, the whole thing is really, really clever. So, how many prototypes did you have to build before you got to your finished one?
Maybe 30, but
Okay.
there's hundreds of iterations on that 30.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a 5 year labor of love, frustration. There was a technology barrier because I didn't understand the technology piece behind it. There was a manufacturing barrier and learning curve. There was a language barrier because my bed is made in China.
Got it.
Um, so I don't. It was There was a lot of
Okay.
pantomiming
All
on
right.
Zooms, which crashed.
Well, did you build your first prototypes here in the States?
Yes.
Okay. So, did you do you sew yourself, or did you have someone sew that for you?
I
How did you do
can't
that?
sew to save my life.
All
So
right.
the very first prototype, I got the materials for. I went to Goodwill and I saw like a Mickey Mouse sleeping bag
Okay.
and a new egg crate that was still in its package. The egg crate foam,
Hmm.
and I bought those two things for $7. And I came home and I went on nextdoor.com and I'm like, can anybody help me
Oh,
sew
nice. Nice.
something?
Okay.
And so like a old church lady was like, I can do it. And so
Okay.
um, for a couple $100, she spent several evenings at my house. I think she just did it to be a nice person because $200 is all I could afford, and she never said anything about it.
Okay.
The amount of time she spent with me, I think,
So, when
was
did you decide, hey, I got something I like, I want to start a business, and I want to get this manufactured? And how did you find the manufacturer in China?
oh God. Um, it was such a long journey to find a manufacturer. Nobody in the US wanted to work with me. I tried desperately and in vain to get this product made here.
Okay.
Prototyping, like rapid prototyping in America, costs tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Whereas China prototyped this for me for $250 per iteration.
Got it.
That's,
Okay.
I mean, how can you beat $10,000 per versus 250 per? It's just
Okay.
no contest. Um, but the entire consortium of manufacturers in the Bay Area rejected me. Like I even tried to make it hyper local to the Bay Area because, as you know, I'm from Campbell.
Okay.
Um, so then I went to Asia. I'm like, okay, well,
Oh, you
anyone?
went yourself.
Well, I didn't go. I Googled to Asia.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, okay. All right.
Went. um, and I really, no one was willing to work with me in Asia because of the complexity of the dog bed. They're like,
Okay.
you need a tech pack. So I had one written for $2,000.
Okay.
Um,
What was that called again?
a tech pack, a technical pack,
Okay.
and it's basically a technical writer writing,
Hmm.
a, I guess, the code for how this is built that manufacturers would understand. It's a
Oh,
whole
nice. Okay.
language. Yeah, it has like pictures and it's highly technical, and I don't know how the hell anybody understands what
Almost
it's
like CAD drawings of how to build this.
correct
Got it. Okay.
with very jargon filled explanations.
Yeah, because you've got a lot of, there's some hardware, there's different
Yes.
materials, different, and fabrics. People don't realize fabric stretch. They do different things, different
Yeah.
thicknesses. I mean, it's not as easy as they
There's
think.
65 materials in the bill of materials.
65.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It is highly complex. And ironically, the patent application has 65 pages.
Does it?
Yes.
Hey, that's your lucky number. Okay,
Yeah.
so um, all right, so you find the manufacturer, and when you people are always curious. What was your minimum quantity you had to order?
So this was what, 3 or 4 years ago? My brain isn't working this morning or this afternoon, rather. But at that time, the MOQ was 1,500 pieces or units.
Okay.
Not bad, except I didn't have the capital for that, and I had to borrow money from my dad because that was point I had spent a ton of money.
Okay.
I poured all my checking, savings, two retirement accounts, a brokerage account, the
Oh,
shirt off my back for this.
so you're spending everything you have, and now you go into family. How
Yeah,
hard was it to ask your dad for money?
it was hard
Okay.
because I'm in my 40s at this point, and to not be able to do something on my own at this point,
Okay.
at this age was very difficult. And two, my parents aren't rich people.
Okay.
So, my dad is cashing his stocks to help me make this. So
Okay.
that's how much faith he has in me, and that's how much faith I have in this product.
All right. Wow. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
little. There's a little pressure there.
It's a
Okay.
lot of pressure.
All right. So they ship it to you. You probably store it in your
Well,
garage.
well, here's the thing. I somehow managed to get them down to 600 units
Oh,
and to get all the SKUs within that 600.
okay.
There's 9 SKUs. They
9.
9 SKUs in 600 units. Like nobody would, even now they won't do that.
So you're a good negotiator.
I'm a good negotiator. I also had the manufacturer came via my mentor whose wife works with them. So I think there was a little pressure on them to help me
Okay.
because this was coming from a referral.
Got it. Okay.
And now they've landed Nike as a client, so there's no need for them to feel any kind of pressure working with me. So they've
Okay.
they've actually upped the ante. The last time I talked to them, they want
Okay.
a higher MOQ.
Okay. So how do you launch? You've got the inventory. You've spent a lot of money. How do you launch it so everybody gets to know how great it is? How do you do that?
I think it's so funny. That's a great question because I no one knows how to launch, and if they're telling you they do, they're lying.
Okay.
Unless they've done 15 successful businesses, it's still a crapshoot because you don't know ultimately if there's a product market fit. You don't know who your target demo is going to be. You're literally throwing spaghetti against the wall every single time and hoping one of the strands stick. And then
Okay.
you're like, okay, that's a good business idea.
Okay.
And you still don't know if it's a good business model. You just know that it's a good idea.
Okay.
So I created a website on Shopify and it was like, if you build it, they will come, field of dreams type of thinking. And that did not happen. um, but the site has been growing phenomenally. It's taken
Well,
a while.
let's talk about creating demand
Sure.
because you can put your product up on a website, but they need to find it somehow.
Yeah.
So you've been pretty good at that. How do you get the
I did
media?
all of that without spending a single dime on paid ads. I don't
Right.
have a paid ad strategy because I can't afford paid ads at the moment.
All
So
right. So let's talk about that. All right. So you don't want to pay for the ads, but you have to get the media to talk about you. How'd you do that?
first, the site has to be airtight. It has to be banging. It can't be this like 1990s WordPress clip art type of site. If my product's going to be upwards of $300, the site needs to look like $1 million.
Okay.
It needs to look Saks Fifth Avenue, Bergdorf, Neiman Marcus, $1 million.
Okay.
And so I scoured Shopify for themes that had that kind of look, and
Okay.
I found a third-party theme from these great developers called Safe as Milk. You should look them up. They're amazing. Their customer service is amazing. And then I started building the site. I'm a copywriter, so I wrote all my own copy and micro copy and UI UX copy. Um, and I've also worked in Hollywood for 10 years, prior to this business, and so I knew how to send out a casting call, how to audition, and produce videos and photo shoots.
Well, I have to say your website's beautiful.
Thank
You're
you.
right, and your ads. I mean, everything looks pretty. You're right. You nailed it. It looks really good.
And I did it on a beyond shoestring, like so shoestring that
Wow.
it's, yeah, like on financial fumes.
Okay.
So it looks like $1 million, but the theme was like two or $300, and then
All
a
right.
3-year plan from
Because it
Shopify is
looks good. It,
$700.
it it
Yeah,
looks really good.
thank you.
Okay. So you've got the website looking fantastic. You figured that all out. How do you knock on the door to get anybody to pay attention to you, to
Start
share the
locally.
light on you?
Start locally, and the you know your local paper from your city, your county, even from your neighborhood. My neighborhood here, even after being in the New York Times twice, I still knocked on the doors of like the Los Sendas, literally the neighborhood paper from this
Okay.
neighborhood. um,
So you
Start there.
start local, but do you do it? I mean, do you actually go there to knock on the door? Do you send them an email or
No, I send them
call
an
them?
email, and the reason I do this is because the local stuff doesn't help that much, but it teaches you how to
Practice.
approach a journalist.
Okay.
It teaches you the language of the email,
Yes.
and it gets you ready for the big leagues.
Okay.
And it does get the word out locally. You do want to have some grassroots stuff going on. You don't want to just be
Okay.
pitching
All
to,
right.
like, Men's Journal and stuff. So um,
How'd you grab their attention?
I well, I went on Google and I typed in outdoor writers, outdoor journalists,
Hmm.
outdoor, and I made a huge list on an Excel spreadsheet and started looking up their emails. A lot of them don't have their emails public, but a lot of them do. A lot of them are on Twitter. And I just
Okay.
started reaching out. And generally speaking, journalists don't like cold outreach. I mean, I don't like, I'm a nobody and I don't like cold outreach. I just delete the spam and
So
junk
how
mail.
do you do it then?
Um, Very compellingly.
Oh,
The title has to be, eye catching, and then your first sentence has to say everything immediately with a lot of impact,
okay.
because people have the attention span of, like, it's not even a goldfish these days. What is it, like a gnat? Attention span of a
Yep.
gnat.
Got to grab them fast.
You gotta grab them fast, and then you have to say what's in it for them too.
Okay.
So right off the bat, I'll send you, um, a rough rest in the size and color of your choice, and in parentheses, value $300. Um, Ethically, they're not supposed to keep anything as a gift, so a lot of them either pass it on or just,
Sure.
you know, put it in the company break room
Yep.
where somebody else grabs it. But sometimes I wonder if they do keep it. I mean, there's got to be a perk in being a journalist that reviews.
No, there isn't any. Trust me.
There
Can
isn't.
you? What I'm curious about the outreach and how persistent are you? Do you?
It gets easier once you're able to rattle off the other people who have covered you, and then they don't
Oh,
they don't want to be out of touch. And
oh.
so
But
one.
don't they want to be first? Don't they want to be special, or do you kind of keep them in certain categories so it doesn't cross over? How do you make it special for them?
I don't. I
Hmm.
just, my email is basically saying that you better get on the bandwagon before you blackberry yourself for this news. Everybody else is covering this. I don't say those words. I know how to write kind of
Oh,
around that thought. Like, hey, we were just covered by Gear Patrol this past week, and we thought you might be, you know,
I'll be left out. FOMO.
right. Yeah.
FOMO. Okay, good for you. You seem to have navigated this quite I wouldn't say easily, but
Mhm.
you seem to have some skills that most people don't have. Is that true?
It's true, but I only have these skills because I've had to hustle my whole life. It really, really
Okay.
sharpens you. It's like, yeah,
Okay.
it's, I've had a tough life and I've had to be scrappy and resourceful my whole life.
Okay.
Um, I don't, I'm not your average American business person. I'm a minority 50 ways over. So I was leaning in before Sheryl Sandberg wrote the
Okay.
book. I read the book and I'm like, I already do that. I go in first into any meeting or conference room. I choose a seat where I'll be seen very visibly because I
Okay.
already know that I'll be passed over, so I may as well be seen visibly.
Okay.
So I try to billboard myself as much as I can in those rooms
Okay.
because I have to. So I'm very, um, I'm very much used to being the the person who's had to be a megaphone her whole life.
Okay. All right. Well, some of those experiences are helping you tremendously now, aren't they?
They
You're
are, they are. They help
okay.
me spend judiciously and protect
Okay.
my sources judiciously, and yeah.
So where can people find? Can they? Is it just online, or can they can find it? Tell us where they can find it and buy it. Because I tell you guys, this is really a smart product. I really like it. So where can they find it?
We're on timberdog.com. That's Timber dog.com. And we just signed a master vendorship deal with Chewy. So we are now on Chewy. We're live on Chewy, which is big news for us. That's a
Good for
major
you.
move. So yeah, those are the two places where
Okay.
you can buy, and hopefully in the future, we're targeting like REI and such stores as our brick and mortar
Okay.
presence. But right now, we're just e-commerce.
Smart. Well, good for you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with all of us. I think it's remarkable. The great product. We're going to put all the information down below where people can find it.
Thank you
And
so
if you've
much.
got some lovely animal that you love and you want to take care of it, this is a great product, you guys. I really like it. So
Yeah, for a limited time, there's a 10% off discount code in the banner of timberdog.com, which is $30 off. So it's a
nice.
great deal. We usually don't run sales. We're like the Apple of dog beds. And so, but just as a promotion for your viewers or your listeners, rather, this is something that we wanted to offer. So make sure you head over to timberdog.com, check out the banner for the 10% discount, and I'll hook it up.
Thank you so much for coming on InventRight TV. I will see you next time. Subscribe down below, and thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Okay, you've got a great product idea and you're not quite sure what to do, or maybe you've got inventory in your garage because you were selling your product on Amazon and you don't want to continue doing it, but you want someone to help you license your idea to a company to bring it to market for you. We have a new program that's called Gateway, where we do all the work for you. We'll find the right companies and the right people to make sure your product is pitched correctly to get the licensing deal. This new program is called Gateway. If you're interested, please check it out.